All right, guys. So, very recently, the UN warned that 14,000 Gaza babies could die in 48 hours if aid is not let in. Of course, as many of you know, Israel is blockading that and only allowing very, very little in. They even admit, they admit in their own government that they're only trying to allow in as much as they can get away with so that they avoid war crimes. They're it's like it's not even an argument anymore. It's a genocide, 100% a genocide. But I'll continue on my thoughts on it in a moment, but I want to read an article real quick. Israel's allies condemn expansion of Gaza war. Britain, France, and Canada called the Israeli plans for escalation disproportionate and egregious at a time when the UN is warning the population is at risk of famine. Israel's threats to drastically escalate the war in Gaza and its blockade of humanitarian aid to a Palestinian population at risk of famine have drawn the sharpest condemnation yet from some powerful Western allies since the conflict began 19 months ago. On Tuesday, Britain said it was suspending talks with Israel on expanding a free trade agreement. The day before, Britain, France, and Canada issued a rare public reprimand of Israel demanding it cease the renewed military offensive. We have always supported Israel's right to defend Israelis against terrorism, a joint statement by the three countries said, but this escalation is wholly disproportionate. The message made clear that Israel's conduct of the war in Gaza, the high Palestinian death toll, and the abysmal humanitarian conditions in Gaza were pushing some of the country's most powerful international supporters to the limits of what they would tolerate. Israel is threatening to take full control of Gaza in the next stage of the war and hem Gazans into even more limited zones. Israel has also been blocking humanitarian aid from Gaza for more than 2 months, even as the UN warns that the population is under threat of famine. This weekend, Israel said it would begin allowing some humanitarian aid to flow into Gaza, but the authorities let only 5 trucks in on Monday. Britain, France, and Canada called the expanded Israeli campaign against Hamas in Gaza and the withholding of aid egregious actions that cannot continue. If Israel does not cease the renewed military offensive and lift its restrictions on humanitarian aid, we will take further concrete actions in response, the statement said. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel said Britain, France, and Canada had handed a huge prize to Hamas. He accused them of tacitly encouraging a repeat of the October 7, 2023 attacks that killed some 1,200 people in Israel, with 250 taken as hostages to Gaza. This is a war of civilization over barbarism, Mr. Netanyahu said on social media. Israel will continue to defend itself by just means until total victory is achieved. The statements from allied countries were a distinct contrast from the early days after the 2023 attack, when governments rushed to back Israel. But as the death toll in Gaza grows and suffering deepens, diplomatic support is fading. Israel has killed more than 53,000 Palestinians in Gaza, according to Gazan health officials who do not distinguish between civilians and combatants. The United States, Israel's most powerful patron, has not publicly criticized the renewed Israeli offensive, but President Trump has increasingly bypassed Mr. Netanyahu, cutting a separate deal with Hamas to free the last living American hostage and skipping Israel on his trip to the Middle East last week. On Friday, Mr. Trump said a lot of people are starving in Gaza under the Israeli blockade, and the United States wanted to help alleviate the suffering. In Britain on Tuesday, Foreign Secretary David Lammy announced in Parliament the suspension of free trade talks with Israel, condemning what he said were Mr. Netanyahu's plans to drive Gazans from their homes into a corner of the Strip to the south and permit them a fraction of the aid that they need. European officials have privately expressed increasing frustration and even anger with Israeli actions in Gaza, said Hugh Lovatt, a senior fellow at the European Council on Foreign Relations. The statement on Monday by allies was a significant change in tone and message, he added. In March, Israel ended a 2-month ceasefire with Hamas that would have freed the hostages in exchange for an end to the war and a full Israeli withdrawal. Mr. Netanyahu has said Israel could not accept anything less than for Hamas to disarm and its leaders to go into exile. It is far from clear whether a more intense Israeli assault would defeat Hamas. Israeli forces have reduced much of Gaza to rubble, while Hamas has recruited thousands of new fighters. Much of the international criticism is centered on the dire humanitarian situation in Gaza, a direct consequence of the 2-month Israeli blockade that barred food, medicine, and other essential relief from entering. Aid organizations suspended their operations as food stockpiles dwindled. Doctors reported malnutrition among children. Tom Fletcher, a senior UN humanitarian official, claimed on Tuesday that 14,000 babies in Gaza might die in the next 2 days unless aid entered. But the United Nations later appeared to walk back his remarks. Asked for comment, a UN spokeswoman did not defend the claim, instead saying that life-saving supplies need to get in as soon as possible. European officials met in Brussels on Tuesday, in part to discuss whether Israel has violated its association agreement with the European Union over human rights violations against the Palestinians. On Tuesday, Jean-Noel Barrot, the French foreign minister, said the EU could decide to suspend its agreement with Israel unless the Gaza offensive were halted. That would put Israel in the same category as Syria, Liberia, and Zimbabwe. The blind violence and the humanitarian blockade by the Israeli government have made Gaza into a death trap, Mr. Barrett said in a radio interview. So, get into a little bit of this. What I believe is happening, at least, okay, so they're not going extremely hardcore, like just completely cut, like giving them like a ultimatum or anything. But France, Britain, and Canada are, in my opinion, going this far at least, and it's a great thing, but it's due to Trump. So this is one of the rare positive things that happened because of Trump. Although it doesn't happen because Trump is a good guy with great ambitions and like he wants to stop the suffering, etc. It's because Trump has basically given the middle finger to our former allies. He's said, fuck you to Canada, the UK, and France. And so the whole world is watching and looking at Trump and basically recognizing the era of the one world superpower, the United States fucking global order, is gone. We can't trust these people. They're fucking crazy. They're like every 4 years, some damn new crazy ass shit happens. They're not consistent. Like, we don't know if another fucking Donald Trump's going to come along who just fucking just torches shit and acts like an absolute idiot. So no one trusts us anymore. Japan has fucking went up. They've already been against Israel. Most of the world is against Israel. The only thing that kept it from being unanimous was the United States, which is fucked up, by the way. The United States are complicit in the genocide right now because of that. But, so the United States was strong-arming and even threatening the fucking international court and shit directly, which is like what we tend to always fucking do. We think we can just do whatever the fuck we want and we're the good guys, even though we're doing the evil shit. So, as it is now, we're essentially the only major nation still on Israel's side because we now know all the well, we've actually known all the bullshit. The truth is most of these countries are just doing what's diplomatically most viable for them. The point is, so I'm not trying to make the case that all these countries are changing because they've seen the error of their ways. No. I believe that if the United States hadn't have turned their back on them, then they would still be playing the same damn game. They would keep their head down and say what the same thing the United States says. The lies, the bullshit. So with Trump and his stupid tariff shit, threatening other countries, including allies, all of the retarded shit that he's done. What he's done is so a lot of why he's done it is because he's got this like war. It's like a trade war and also like an ideological war with China. What is the direct repercussions of his actions now? Most of our former allies have become closer to China than ever before. And that's not turning back. Donald Trump is a fucking idiot. And the fucking morons that voted for him in this country are to blame. So don't go crying. They're not coming back. And yes, we need them. You may have this fucking dream of like United States bringing back manufacturing jobs and all this shit. Like, it's not happening. It's not even possible. So, one, it would take like fucking 20 plus years and a shit ton of money to create a base or a foundation to actually produce shit for manufacturing. And I want you to notice Trump has absolutely no talk about that whatsoever. And the reason why is because that wasn't even his plan. He doesn't care about it. Has nothing to do with shit. You fucking idiots fell for his fucking shit. And now the whole fucking United States and a lot of the world is going to suffer because of it. But anyhow, should stay more focused on Israel here. So, yeah, the reason why I went into it is because Trump has single-handedly pushed away all of our allies. They've realized that they're going to have to move elsewhere. They're going to have to, like, get out from under the fucking knee of the United States on their fucking neck. Because then, if they don't, all of their allies will get dragged down along with the United States. And that's what's happening right now. Make no mistake about it. So this, again, is one of the few positive things to come out of Trump. Trump is such a fucking moron that other countries have went, all right, well, what the fuck else? What do we have to lose now? Like, the United States basically is all giving us the middle finger anyway. They don't want to be fair. They don't want to actually talk. Trump himself seems to just want like personal bribes. Like he wants to get personally fucking like enriched by deals in order to like cut trade tariff like fucking shit, which is just like him. He's like a fucking mob boss. He's just like Putin, except worse because Putin at least did so in like a long planning method, like he went through the steps and slowly consolidated power. Trump is just being a fucking idiot and setting shit on fire. But anyway, I believe, and so, okay, there's a possibility that this is just bluster. I hope that's not. I hope that the rest of the world at least get some positive out of this. They move away from the fucking atrocities and complicity and genocide that the United States is part of and fucking just move away from that shit. All of the rest of the world needs to fucking condemn Israel, and fucking Netanyahu and his fucking insane psychopath fucking people in their government need to be fucking held accountable, and they need to be locked the fuck up immediately. It's not going to happen soon, but still. That may happen if this course continues. Let's hope that France, Canada, and Britain are just the beginning and that they're going to stick to their guns and they're actually going to hold fucking Israel accountable, and it's not just going to be finger wagging. If so, there's a possibility that a fucking shit ton of lives can be saved. Thank you for your time.